Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. So, there's a lot going on in boxing, so I decided, you know what? I'm going to try to put together my own pound-for-pound ranking. I'm going to try to do it once a month, man. So, because I see a lot of rankings that I just don't agree with. And the thing is, we're not always going to agree when it comes to who's the number one, who's the number two. And there's a lot of different factors that go into people's pound-for-pound listings. But with me, I like to take into consideration who's really put the work in. Not necessarily kind of cherry-picked opponents or fought champions that really didn't put up much of a challenge, but someone who really went out there and put the work in. I'm not really taking into how much money they generate and stuff like that. That's a factor, but it's not. That's not the primary consideration. Actually, it's not much of a weighted value in the way I'm coming up with my list. But I'm gonna go ahead and go over my rack and stack. I was gonna do 10, but I added 12 because initially I left off the ladies, and I was like, "There's no way I can leave off these two in particular," because even when you match them up against the men, they deserve some kind of recognition. Okay, so my number one for me is Jermell Charlo. And anyone who wants to disagree with that, you're just a hater, okay? I know what other boxers have done, but Jermell Charlo walks the walk, talks the talk. This man didn't have anything given to him. Okay, he went out there and he earned it. He earned it. He fought guys tooth and nail, came back, made the adjustments, and showed that he was a top dog in his division. He beat very, very good competition, man. And I don't think he gets the credit he deserves, but I watched that. I watched his growth. I watched the changes that this guy was able to make and the adjustments he was able to implement in the ring. And I think Jermell Charlo deserves to be number one as far as my pound-for-pound list. I do think that some people don't want to put him as number one because of his attitude. As far as a guy who can generate a lot of money and big pay-per-view sales, that hasn't been proven yet. As far as him being a huge draw, maybe in Texas. But the bottom line is he can fight. And he's proven that, okay? Number two, I got to go with Claressa Shields, man. I'm not looking at what she did as an Olympian, but pretty big deal. But as a professional, man, she just shut down every opponent. And what's so unique about Claressa Shields is she's currently the undisputed middleweight and currently the undisputed light middleweight champion. She's undisputed in two weight divisions. That's crazy. That's what Usyk is trying to achieve right now. Okay? So when you look at what she's been able to do to her opponents, shut them all down. And she has a huge fight coming up later this year, I think at super middleweight, man. And she's getting ready to go into that with, not Katie Taylor, against Savannah Marshall. That's going to be a huge fight. I don't think that's going to be an easy fight, okay? But for right now, with everything Shields has done, she deserves, in my opinion, to get more credit than what she's received. Okay, now the thing about women's boxing is 2-minute rounds, 3-minute rounds. I get it, but if we're just looking at, her as a fighter, how she dismantles opponents, she makes adjustments on the fly, and the fact that she was able to come in and snatch up 2 undisputed distinctions, that's a big deal, okay? Katie Taylor is number 3. Hey, she had a little bit of a hiccup with that one fighter. I can't remember her name. But she came back, shut her down the next fight. Came in there with Serrano. And, yes, she got clipped in that fight. Some people say she lost, right? But she found a way to win. She was able to dig deep. Amanda Serrano was the harder puncher. No doubt about that. But Katie Taylor found a way to win. and she proved that she's a true champion. She showed true grit, and now she sits as undisputed. Okay. After that's Earl Spence Jr. Talk about somebody, man, who's resilient. Now, I don't care what anyone says. All right. I think him and Terrence Crawford is a 50-50 fight. I'm actually picking Terrence Crawford to make the adjustments and get to the finish line, or just get a victory, a knockout, decision, or whatever. But what Earl Spence has gone through, yo, man, he is a blessed individual because he shouldn't be in the position he's in. But he said what he was going to do. When he came into the welterweight division, got his shot at, went overseas, got his crack at Kell Brook, won that belt, came back, fighting over here, won another belt, kept grinding it out. Fortunately, didn't get an opportunity to get in there with Pacquiao, but it is what it is. Got in there, grinded it out. Got in there with Ugas. We saw what happened in that fight. To me, he dodged a bullet because Ugas had him. He could have got him out of there, but that's Ugas' fault. But Earl Spence just broke him down. Okay, so Earl Spence came and he earned it. Okay, he fought everybody. He fought all the opponents he had to get himself in position, to be a title contender, and he just breaks guys down. But to see all of the things that he's persevered through and has been able to come back from, Earl Spence, to me, definitely deserved to be some kind of recognition, and I have him as my number 3. I really do. It has nothing to do with pay-per-view draw and stuff like that, but when you're the WBA Super, WBC, and IBF champion, that's a big deal. And he definitely, talking about all the best in the division, him and Crawford are the 2 number 1s at welterweight. You got some other guys who are up and coming, just a matter of time before they get their opportunities. But right now, Earl Spence has done amazing things, and he deserves to be, in my opinion, to be recognized as the number 4. After that, I had to say Alexander Usyk. Look at what Usyk was able to do. Unify the cruiserweight division, came into the heavyweight division. He fought a few fights. Actually looked like the heavyweight division wasn't going to be for him, especially when he fought Chisora. Got through that, got in there with AJ, clipped AJ. Almost one-sided. Did take a little bit of damage, but for the most part, he outboxed him, outsmarted him, out-hustled him, out-footworked him, out-IQ'd him, out-everything. Alexander Usyk came up there, got the WBA Super, you got the IBF and the WBO belts, okay? So you got to look at Alexander Usyk and give him respect for him coming up as an undisputed champion, battling the big dog really at heavyweight, who had pretty much most of the hardware, excluding Tyson Fury's WBC, and beating him. We got the rematch coming up. Who knows what's going to happen? I'm rooting for AJ. I just think he's going to be able to make the adjustment, but Usyk is fighting for a whole different cause. Not an easy fight for either man. But Alexander Usyk, to me, deserves to be number 5. If he's able to beat AJ and goes on and he beats Fury, you got to start looking at him to be the pound for pound number 1 guy. Small guy come up and do those kind of things, man, you got to put some respect on his name. Just like Roy Jones, when he moved up through those 5 different weight divisions. I think it was 5, not 6. But he was able to get up there and get a belt. Yeah, he knew who to pick in John Ruiz, but when guys just go up like that, and to me, Usyk fought a bigger challenge. And he was able to do what he did. You got to give him credit for that. And Terrence Crawford, 135, 140. Okay, 140 was able to unify it. Doesn't matter. He beat champions at 140. Some of those guys he fought, I don't know. Was it that Terrence Crawford was that talented that he made them look less than average? Or was it that Terrence Crawford just got lucky at the time, that point in time, where the guys who held belts at 140 were, kind of weak? Okay, so that's been a back and forth argument about Terrence Crawford and how he was able to get those belts at 140. But it really doesn't matter. He did it. But now he's come up to 147 pounds, got a belt. He's looked phenomenal. He's an amazing boxer. Not much of a draw. He's back in his hometown maybe, but had a lot of issues. Really didn't work on marketing himself and doing those things that fighters need to do, athletes across the board. But he has gained a lot of recognition because of his skill set and his power. Terrence Crawford definitely needs to be recognized on a pound for pound list. Some people have him as number 1. Some people have him down at number 3. Some people have him number 10. I personally have him at number 6. If I took the 2 females out of it, Terrence Crawford would be my number 4. But I think he's underneath Usyk. Now, if Terrence Crawford can come, like Usyk, move up and win an undisputed distinction, he'll be undisputed in 2 weight divisions. Then we can talk about it. But right now, he's got 1 belt. He's got to get through Errol Spence. If he can do that, Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford is the man. A lot of people think he is already. Although I have him ranked lower than Spence, I think he can make the right adjustments and beat Spence. But when I look at the routes that Spence went, it doesn't matter if they're all without Heyman. It doesn't matter what anyone says. Spence, he fought tooth and nail, coming back after those car accidents and the eye injury and everything else to be where he is. So Spence deserves to be above Crawford. After Crawford is Artur Beterbiev. This is someone else. Nobody handed him anything. I think a lot of people don't understand Berterbiev's pedigree as an Olympian and fighting bigger guys. So when he gets in that ring, Beterbiev has just shown that I don't care who it is you put him in there with, he's probably going to find a way to win. And there's something special in his hands because when he hits boxers, they don't want nothing to do with him at all. Okay, so Beterbiev may not get that fight with Bivol. Bivol's supposed to be fighting Zurdo Ramirez. But if Beterbiev and Bivol, if Zurdo Ramirez gets defeated by Bivol, hopefully we'll see Bivol and Beterbiev. But what's his name? Canelo may throw a wrench in those plans. But I think Artur Beterbiev is going to be the next undisputed at 175 pounds. I just don't see anybody beating him. He's got a chin, he's got heavy hands, excellent boxing IQ, and that European style, man, it just makes it hard for anybody. And he's just got the will to win, and I just don't see anyone discouraging him. After that, going to be the Japanese fighter, Inoue. He's just another one of those guys, man. Ferocious. You really got to take a look at it. Some people have him as the number 1, man, on their pound for pound list. 23 wins, 20 by KO, man. He fights as a bantamweight. You got the WBA Super, the WBC belt, IBF belt, and the Ring Magazine belt. So, the ring belt. So, Inoue, he's definitely on his way, man. For to me, to going down in history as one of the best pound for pound boxers, not just out of Japan, just across the board. Right now, they're just talking about him as a Japanese fighter. Nah, man, let's not pigeonhole him to just being, he's a great Japanese fighter. He's a great fighter. And you're seeing him pop up in the number 1 spot on a lot of lists because he's a monster. And he deserves that. So that's why I have him at number 8, man. I mean, you just don't come out here and beat guys the way he's been beating guys and taking their belts from him. I mean, I think whoever he gets in there with, I think he defeats him, and he soundly defeats him, and by knockout. So I think he deserves to be number 8. After that, Tyson Fury. You got to put Tyson Fury up there on the list. We know he had a lot of time off. That's why I don't have him up higher. Also, when you look at who he's fought a lot of people, but what's really helped catapult Tyson Fury, we know what he did with Vladimir, okay, out there in Germany, but it wasn't very exciting, but he did outbox him, he did win. But if you look at what he's been able to do, making adjustments and changes, changing his style, become a knockout artist, right? Defeating Deontay Wilder when nobody else really wanted to get in there with Wilder. And coming back and, Dillian White, we knew he was going to beat him, but it's the fashion and way he was able to do it. You got to give him credit. Tyson Fury has held all the belts. He's never been undisputed because he didn't hold them all at the same time. But Tyson Fury is a special fighter, and I think he deserves to be on the list. And I don't think he deserves to be above anyone else because, again, I'm looking at, kind of who he's fought and how he earned it. He didn't go and fight 3 different opponents to get 3 belts. He kind of went 1 shot, 1 kill with Vladimir, relinquished all the belts for what he had going through. And then he came back and fought Deontay Wilder, got the WBC, and he always held the ring lineal title. So he's a solid fighter. I just don't think he's above these other guys. Then Canelo Alvarez, no matter what you say, he took a loss. He went up, tried to be great. He won a lot of belts, undisputed in a couple weight divisions. But then again, with him, it's kind of looking at who he fought, like Terrence Crawford when he became undisputed. It's not Canelo's fault that some of those champions were weak. He did what he had to do. But at the same time, he did take a loss to what's his name? To Bivol. And I personally think Canelo lost the first two fights with Triple G. But it is what it is. But if you want to really take a look at the number one pound for pound fighter, when you take a look at pay-per-view sales, you take a look at money generated, you look at how much the fight purse is, you look at entertainment, and you look at accolades. You may have to throw AJ and Canelo up there to number 1 and 2, okay? But that's if you look at the more of a holistic picture. I'm trying not to include that because at the end of the day, I'm trying to talk just about who's out there really scrapping and earning it. So Canelo is out there. He did a lot of fighting. He fought champions, and he's earned it. But that loss to Bivol kind of made him look human, and people are talking about, oh, he went up and he fought Bivol as 175. Yo, man, hold your horses. Don't take it to the stupid. He fought Kovalev at 175, all right? So don't come at me with that crap. That's Bivol, just a damn Olympian and a monster, and that's the problem Canelo had. Someone who can box and box smart, who's seen all styles, and just went in there and made Canelo look like a rookie. Shakur Stevenson, what I need to say about that guy? That guy is special, man. He is super special. Shakur Stevenson is on a whole nother level. I don't know why people don't have him ranked higher on their list. This man's 18-0 with 9 KOs. People say he's light-fisted. He's not light-fisted. Okay, 50%, man, KO ratio. Nobody's walking through Shakur Stevenson. Okay, even when he's sitting there like he's kind of pop-shotting people, nobody's trying to walk through that. They're staying on the outside. Once he hits them, they don't want to get hit with that crap again. So he's got some pop, but he has the WBC, WBO, and the ring title, man, and he's earned it. And he's gonna go on and he's gonna unify that 130-pound division, probably bubble up to 135. But he's gonna unify if he wants to. But he's talking about going up. But I think if he wanted to, he could. But I know it's hard for all these guys to make weight, except for the heavyweights. It's hard to make that weight, but Shakur Stevenson is a special fighter. And my number 12 is Devin Haney. And I'm putting Devin Haney as number 12 because I think Devin Haney, I didn't put Tank Davis on here because even though Tank's knocking people out, Tank Davis is, they're strategically picking his fights, okay? But with Devin Haney, he's showing that no matter who he fights, Devin Haney has the kind of boxing skills and the boxing style where it's hard for me to root against him. The only way you gotta worry about Devin Haney and his decision making in the ring is when he wants to stand there and try to prove that he can take a punch and he can knock people out. When he fought Kambosos, he did not do that. He fought very smart and very intelligent. That's why he won those belts. So he went over there and he became the undisputed, and at 135. And it doesn't matter what you think, oh, he only fought one guy and he got all the belts. It doesn't matter. With his boxing skill set, his IQ, with his talent level, he would give anyone problems. And I would have to really strongly consider favoring him going to any fight with anyone. But he's undisputed. He went over there, and with everything that he had to go through, he showed that there's layers to him, man. Dad, stress about his dad, issues with not having having his cutman, not being treated properly over there in Australia. He persevered through all that, man. So Devin Haney showed a lot of character, and I think he needs to be on this list at number 12. But I'm sure some people would agree, some people would disagree. I'm not here to say I'm right. I'm just here to say this is my 2 cents. I'm not worried about Triple G. I'm not worried about Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder's been out the picture too long. Not worried about Gennady Golovkin. He was gone too long, came back, looked very vulnerable in his fight in Japan. Got the job done, but looked vulnerable. Roman Gonzalez, there was a time I'd say, man, he was the man. Him and Vasily Lomachenko, those guys, that's who he reminds me of. But Roman Gonzalez has taken some losses. He's still an amazing fighter. Vasily Lomachenko, we'll find out what he's about. He's returning this year. But, hey, he lost to Teofimo, and I don't know what the hell his deal was, but it is what it is. But I still think Vasily Lomachenko can get himself on the list Some people still have him as number one. I don't see how you could have Lomachenko as number one. I just don't think that's fair. Dmitry Bivol, some people have him ranked in their top 10. Just because he beat Canelo. I don't think he should be ranked there. I think he still has more work to do. But that's me. Josh Taylor, I think Josh Taylor could have been ranked there, but he lost that last fight. And he got the gift decision. It is what it is. But Josh Taylor is a very good fighter. And when you take all that into consideration, some people would have some of those names, those honorable mentions on their list. But at the end of the day, there's no one who did what the hell Jermell Charlo did. And I don't care. I'm sure people are going to disagree with me, but man, and Jermell Charlo doesn't have the best attitude. I don't like his attitude sometimes. But what that guy did, man, I can't help but root for that guy. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing. No one gave him anything, man. I think a lot of people were rooting against him just because him and his brother are so damn colorful. But at the end of the day, for me, he proved, man, because that Castaño rematch, I thought he was going to lose that fight. I honestly did. I was like, man, that's not an easy fight. And just to see how he was able to box and move, I thought he would have fatigued, and to be in shape like he was. That wasn't an easy fight. You know, it's not when you see a guy go in there and walk through his opponents. That's not how this shit's supposed to work, man. Charlo showed, man, that the tougher the competition, he's going to rise to the occasion. And did he make it look easy? No, because he fought a serious threat. And that's why when it comes to Jermell Charlo and all the guys he's fought, different styles, he proved to me that he deserves to be ranked number one pound for pound, in my opinion. Everyone else, it is what it is, but, you know, can't hate on the ladies. The ladies are doing amazing, too. That's why I said, let me throw Claressa Shields in there and Katie Taylor. You can flip-flop those two, but I just think when Claressa Shields is undisputed in two weight divisions and kind of doing what she's done and about to go up here for a third, you know, that's amazing. And I just wanted to make sure I recognize her, recognize Taylor. And everyone else, I mean, you can record stack them how you want. But that's my 2 cents on this pound-for-pound listing. That being said, man, like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Shout out to the veterans. Y'all keep safe. And as always, I'm in the breeze.